Okay, now using mental math to do this, some of you might be able to do this in your head, and this might make total sense to you. Others of you, not so much. Do whatever's best for you. In A, if you have 5 plus a fraction like this, 5 plus 3/4 is just 5 and 3/4. Okay, think about it in terms of money. If you have $5 and you have 3/4 of a dollar, basically you have 3/4, how much total would you have? 5 plus 3/4. Well, you have $5.75. Well, 75 cents is the same thing as 3/4. Alright, in B, you've got 3 and 3/5 plus 2/5. As long as you have the same denominator here, you can add these two little fractions together, right here. So 3 over 5 plus 2 over 5 is 5 out of 5, which really makes 1. So with this 3 in front, you can say 3 plus 1 for a grand total of 4. Now you'd get the same answer if you just did it the other way. If you changed 3 times 5 to be 15 plus 3, 18/5 plus 2/5 equals 20/5, which reduces to 4. So you get the same answer, but look how much faster I did it when I recognized that I had the same common denominator. Okay, and then in 10, what I would do is I would think of money, and I would think about how much change I would need to get me to $4, and then I would subtract 10 minus 4. So if I have 46 cents, okay, think about how much change it would take you to get to 50 cents, and that would be 0.04. Right? Because 0.04 plus 46 will get you 50. And then obviously another 50 cents more would get you to $4. And then 10 minus 4 is 6. So if I add all these up, it's 6.54. Again, you can go ahead and do the same thing that we did on the first page. That's totally fine. Otherwise, when I subtract decimals with 2 decimal places, I think about money. And then in 10, if you have 10 minus 5/6, think about what you would need to get 5/6, how many sixths more you would take to get to a whole. So if you recognize a whole is 6 over 6, if I have 5/6, I would need 1 more sixth to get to a whole. And then just think about 10 minus 1, which is 9. And you have 9 1/6. Okay, 1.1 level 1s is adding and subtracting integers, decimals, and fractions. So this is a no calculator section. So while you might look at this and think, hey, I can just plug this in my calculator, you can't, because this is a no calculator section. We need you guys to get better at doing these things in your head and being confident in your answers, because part of the SAT involves a no calc section. So we got to get these facts a little bit better. So in A, it's adding and subtracting integers. So A, B, C have the same numbers, but the signs are a little bit different. So in A, it says -3 plus 5. So you can think about this in a couple different ways. So say I owed Mr. Wallach $3. So right now I'm down in the hole $3. We go out to lunch and he then owes me 5. So I not only have to give him 3, but he's going to give me back 5. How much money do I have now? So think about, if I gave away 3 and gained 5, am I down any money, or did I gain some money? You can think about it that way. If that totally confused you, you can think about a number line. If you're at -3 and you're adding 5 to it, so you're going 5 in the positive direction, where would you end up? This answer, for some of you can just do in your head. Others of you might need to draw out that number line. Do whatever you need to do to get the answer of 2. Now in B, you've got 2 negative numbers, -3 plus -5. Another way that you might see this is -3 minus 5. You remember, you can always change this to plus a negative. You can do change, or I called it presto changeo when I taught this to middle school. So when you have those things, you can change that sign to make it a plus a negative. Anytime you have plus a negative number, and both of them are negative, so -3 and -5, add the two numbers together, 3 and 5, to make 8, and you're going to get -8. Okay, if you're visual and you like to put this on a number line, you're at -3, and yes, you're adding, so you might think you're going to go to the right, but remember you're adding a negative type of number, so you're getting 5 more negative than -3, so you'd land at -8. Okay, and last but not least, you got -3 minus 5. So again, this is where maybe presto changeo comes in. Maybe this is easier on the number line. If you have -3 and now you're subtracting 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're going to land at -8. Or remember, if you have -3 minus 5, you can make this a positive sign as long as you make that 5 a negative. So you can do that too. Either way, you're going to get -8. Okay, next is subtracting decimals. So what I like to do, if it's written like it is in D, I like to stack it on top of each other. So 12.36 minus 1.59. Okay, now remember what you want to do is you want to just go column by column and borrow if need be. So 6 minus 9, I can't do it, make it a negative, and I don't want to do negatives. So I'm going to borrow 1 from the 3, make that a 2, and bring that 1. So now that 6 has become a 16. 16 minus 9 is 7. Okay, now I'm moving to the second column here. So really now I have a 2 and a 5. Well, I can't subtract 5 from 2 without becoming negative, so I'm going to borrow 1 from this one. It's a 1, and I'm going to make that 2 a 12. 12 minus 5 is another 7. You're going to bring down the decimal point. And now you got the next column. I'll do this in green. Okay, 1 minus 1 is 0. Yes, you still need to put the 0 because of this 1 in front. This one in the very front here doesn't have anything down here, but if it's not there, it's a 0. So you got 1 minus 0 is just 1. So your answer is 10.77. Okay, in E, now this is a little bit different. Because 10 doesn't have a decimal point, and when you're adding or subtracting decimals, you always want to line up the decimal points and work up within the columns. So E, I've got 10, and then I'm just going to put a decimal point, and I'm going to put 2 zeros behind it because in the second number there are 2 numbers after the decimal point. So now I'm going to line up the decimal points. 4, 6 goes to the right, and a 3 goes in front, and I'm going to subtract the columns. Okay, so what happens when you have 0? Okay, so this first column, I can't subtract 0 minus 6. So I'm going to borrow from the column to the left of it. But that number is 0. And if I take something from that 0, I can't have a negative, so it can't be like -1. Okay, so the number in front of it, that's also 0. I can't make that a negative. Okay, so the number in front of that is a 10. So this, is a 1. This 1 becomes a 0. That gets knocked down 1. This 0 becomes a 9. This 0 becomes a 9. And now this last 0 becomes a 1. Okay, so we went all the way to the beginning to borrow a tens place. We borrowed that 1 from all the way to the beginning. I made everything a 9. Okay, so basically we acted like those zeros were 10, so they went down by 1 to become 9. So now I can subtract this. 10 minus 6 is 4. 9 minus 4 is 5. I bring down the decimal point, and I got 9 minus 3 is 6. So 654. Okay, and now when we're adding or subtracting fractions, when they're mixed numbers. So remember, when they're mixed numbers, you want to multiply the denominator with the big number, the whole number, and then add the 4. So I'm going to do 5 times 1, which is 5, plus 4, which is 9, over 5. And I can add the 3 over 10. Now remember, with fractions, you need a common denominator. So I start thinking about, okay, how can I get 5 to become 10? Well, I can multiply by 2, and we're always talking about multiplying. So you got to multiply the top by 2. So this first fraction has become 18 over 10 plus 3 over 10. And now I can put the numerators together, those are the tops, to be 21 over 10. Okay, likewise in G, I got 3 times 2, which is 6, minus 1, which is 5. I'm sorry, plus 1. What am I doing? 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7, over 2, minus 3, over 7. So again, I need a common denominator. This time 2 doesn't become 7 easily, nor does 7 become 2 by multiplying. So I'm just going to multiply by each other. This one I'm going to multiply by 7 over 7, and this one by 2 over 2. This is 49 over 14 minus 6 over 14. 49 minus 6 is 43 over 14. Okay, just go ahead and leave it in an improper. No need to turn it into a mixed number. Okay, and last but not least, when you're turning a mixed number that happens to be negative, like it is in H, you got negative 3 and 1/5. When you're changing it into an improper fraction, ignore the negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 5 times 3, which is 15. I'm still going to add the 1, so that would make 16. And now I'm going to replace that negative back in. So what I don't want you to do is say 5 times negative 3 is negative 15 plus 1 is negative 14. Okay, don't do that. Ignore the negative and then put the negative back in. And I'm going to subtract the 2/3. Again, common denominators, hard to get 5 to become 3 and 3 to become 5, so just multiply by each other. Alright, 3 times 16, if you don't know that offhand, do it off to the side. So 3 times 6 is 8, carry the 1, and 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So you got 48 over 15 minus 10 over 15 will get you a total of 38 over 15.